sweet sounds it is. Being brought in by the Millennial Frog.
I have something to say.
Oh, about Millennial Frog?
Yeah.
Oh, what about him?
As he is our recording artist here at the Game Rage magazine record label.
Indeed.
Our only featured artist at the moment. I have to say, man, fuck all these other artists, man.
Yeah, you know.
When it comes to productivity, there really isn't anybody like Millennial Frog that can match the level of productivity where all these artists spend 3 to 4 months on a single, or who the fuck knows what amount of time they spend on music. And you already have 6 albums out.
Yeah.
Or
6.
at least that's the last count that I remember.
Yeah. 6. Wait, is it 6? Yeah, it's maybe 5. I think it's 5. Because I did one because we did one last year, and then there's 4 that have come out this year so far.
Okay.
And it's only June.
Yeah.
And there's already 4. And Christ, he only said he was going to do 6 this year.
Yeah.
And he's already 2/3 of the way there.
You can't fucking say you're an artist if you don't even have at least an EP or something. Because 3 singles, that's not convincing anybody that you're doing shit.
No. It's not. It's bullshit.
Yeah, I don't believe it, dude.
I agree. It's terrible. And if you want to hear us talk more about this, you can listen to the Game Rage Music Podcast, All Gas, No Trash, which you can find at GameRageMagazine.com and everywhere podcasts are uploaded, such as, I was going to say sold, but yeah, wherever podcasts are available. There you go. That's a good word. And like I said, we have a multitude of podcasts you can listen to. You can go to our website, GameRageMagazine.com, to scroll through the tabs and find all of them. If you like something, it's damn near a guarantee that we will have a podcast for you that you would enjoy. So anyways, but this is No Party Preference, the, political / I don't know, just controversial topics podcast. So today we have a couple of very good issues to discuss. The first of which
topics would probably be more appropriate.
Topics. Yeah, probably right. Topics. So the first of which being the title of the episode. So you want to raise Fed Boy? Well, I was scrolling on TikTok the other day, the China Spy app, and I was just flippity flopping through looking for bullshit to make fun of, or I don't know. I was looking for some bullshit. And what are you doing?
I'm trying to mute my mic.
Oh, why are you yawning?
What a sneak.
Oh, all right. So I was just, looking through and trying to see what I could see. And so what came across, yeah, that's cool. I don't even know if I picked it up, maybe. But I came across essentially this post of, it was like this little video that some congressmen made, and they were all talking about how, it was just really sad. Like that Sarah McLachlan music for the dogs,
In the arms of an angel.
It was basically that in the background. And then it was these elderly Congress people.
For 5 cents a day, you could feed your Congress.
Yes, for 5 cents more in taxes a day, you can give your local congressman a raise so that he can eat. Oh, I thought, man, I really was like, God damn, they're really hurting that bad. So, I mean, they were literally saying, it's just so expensive. I have to maintain 2 residences, one in my home district, and then I have to have a residence here in Washington, D.C. And Washington, D.C. is so expensive. And then they were going on to say that, new Congress people that get in here, that get elected, they can't even afford right away to get a place out here. So they just sleep in their office and whatever. And I just kind of thought, well, I mean, that's kind of what I would probably do. It's free. Why would you just get a fucking air mattress, But I thought, man, these guys really are giving a hard sell that they don't make enough money. Even one of the guys said, yeah, in my district, the median income is $32,000 a year. And, it's just not enough. And I thought, Jesus Christ, how much do these motherfuckers make? So I did me a little bit of the quick Googling, and I found I was immediately enraged. Let's say that off the bat.
Even if that were the case, that they were making that whatever current amount of money, and they're saying that the median household is $32,000. What's the cost of living in that state?
Right. Well, what's funny is they have made since 2009, they have made $174,000 a year.
Just collectively.
No, every single congressman makes the same amount of money.
Yeah.
Congressperson, right? So everyone in the Senate and the House, they make the same amount of money, and it's $174,000 a year. And in 2009, I think that was right after the financial crisis of 2008. So they voted that 2009 would be the last year that they got an adjustment for cost of living, that they were just going to defer it. So it's been deferred for almost 15 years now. Which, okay, I get it. But in 2009, I mean, that was the equivalent in our money today of $250,000 of our money in our money today, right?
Yeah.
So every year they've been making essentially more and more money. It ebbs and flows. So I decided to see, well, how much did they start out making? So I did the chart, and in what was very interesting to me was in 1789, that's when they started recording Congress. Well, I think it was only men back then, so congressman is actually an appropriate term to use. They started recording the salary, and they made $6 per diem per year. Okay, it was $6. So it went up slowly, very slowly, and it was just, per year until 1855, when they started making $3,000 a year. And in 1855, that was the equivalent of $95,000 a year. So in 1855, Congress basically became royalty at that point, because there was not a lot of people making that kind of money in 1855. When people were maybe making dimes, a dime. Oh God, like there's that show, A Million Ways to Die in the West, that movie. And there's a scene when he's like, I'll bet you $1 or whatever. He's like, good God, you have $1? And he's like, yeah. And everybody's like, holy shit, let's see the dollar, bullshit. And so he pulls out the dollar, and then they all fucking take their hats off, and they're like, good God. And then the one kid doesn't take his hat off, and he slaps him. Boy, you take your hat off. That's $1 bill right there. You'll likely never see one of these again for the rest of your life. And that is, yeah, it's jovial and it's comedic, but it's true. That's a true story that most likely people in the 1800s never would have even seen a dollar bill. Most people.
Yeah, it's like when cents actually had value, or when we actually use them, because for the most part, people try to avoid using coins to pay for things because it's such an inconvenience at this point, and they're so worthless at this point.
Yeah, it is basically, coins have just become an inconvenience at this juncture. But I just thought that was funny that they were bitching and complaining about making $174,000 a year, right? And I fucking can't remember the guy's name, but the asshole who had the balls to say, and there was multiple ones, oh, they make $32,000. And so I went back and I watched the rest of it. And there is a point where one of them says, yeah, it's like they make $35,000 is the average income in my district. And I know they'd be looking at me saying, you want to make more than $175,000 right now? Get the fuck out of here. You make 6 times as much as we do. Maybe even more than that. And you're saying that's not enough? How do you expect us to live on $35,000 a year if you can't do it on $175,000? And it brings me to the point that Congress, our political system, the reason it's broken is because they've become royalty. They've become living royal family members who literally are in office until most of them die or get to the point where they're so decrepit that they can't justify getting elected one more year.
Fucking Dianne Feinstein, dude.
Perfect example.
I don't know what age she was when they had her come out of her seat, but by then she's already gone mentally.
One of the things that I found out, and I don't know how true it is, but I'm just going to repeat it because why not? Because I think it is true. her daughter had power attorney over her because she was so incompetent for like 6 months before they actually took her out of the seat.
So then who
And
was
she
making
was
the
still
decisions?
voting at that time. So who was casting the vote? An unelected individual? And then if you're going to tell me that it was Dianne Feinstein, if she's not mentally competent enough to make decisions for herself because her daughter has to do it, but yet she's mentally competent to vote on issues that affect all of us, that's fucking sketchy.
Shit, man, Mitch McConnell.
Oh, that's another example.
I mean, the guy that whenever there were post congressional meetings and the media wanted to speak to him and he had those mental lapses.
Oh, he basically had a stroke live on television. And you're like, dude, you're just staring at the screen and like I get it. That's sad. But those people shouldn't be in charge. That's a simple fact. I don't think anyone can dispute that. I don't think anyone could make an argument to me that, no, these people need to be in charge. You son of a bitch. You're just, blah, blah, blah. I don't know why I'm doing a Southern accent, but I feel like that's who would be against what I'm saying because he's like a Southern Republican, Mitch McConnell. But
Kentucky, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, there you go. So over the years, at the highest point that Congress was getting paid in our modern equivalent was in 1969. They were making $42,500 a year, which equated into 2024 money, $339,000 a year. That's fucking ridiculous. Now, even when they did this, capped it at 174 in 2009, like I said, they were still making $200. It was like $240,000 is what it was in today's money. That 174. Now, I get it. Sure, it's been 15 years later. Now 174 is down to it's 170. It's worth 174 now. And it brings me back to there was a guy that I used to work for, and I won't say his name, but basically he was an administrator, and he came down one day to see like whatever bullshit, whatever we were doing, and there was a protest going on because people were protesting, they were striking because they weren't getting paid enough, right? And so they were saying that, God, they just wanted to get up to like $60,000 a year or something like that is what they wanted. And he just said, oh, God, I couldn't imagine anybody living off of, how could you live off of $60,000 a year? I don't imagine how you could live off of that. And I turned and looked at him and I said, that's what you pay us, right? And he just said, what do you keep going? What do you mean? You don't think people can live off $60,000 a year? I know you're making upwards of probably $250,000 to $300,000. So yeah, I could see how your lifestyle can't be maintained off of 60. Hell, I can't maintain a decent lifestyle on 60 back then when this conversation happened, let alone today where everything's triple the amount that it was back then, fucking 8 years ago when this conversation happened. And it just, people in this wealth class are so out of touch with us in the, I don't want to call us lower class because I feel like that's insulting to us, but in terms of haves and haves nots, I guess that's what we are. We're like the lower income class. And you basically, like in California, in order to be considered middle class, you have to make $180,000 a year to be middle class now. And I don't know about you, but I don't fucking make anywhere near that.
I hate to fucking make this. I hate to bring the subject of baseball in again.
Do it. Let's bring it in.
But that's the story that I was trying to point out.
Mm-hmm.
I know. Oh, and that topic can be looked over again if you want to go on the Chirping from the Pine podcast. But that's, to me, the story. It was an underdog story, even though the baseball teams that we were talking about, specifically the one we were rooting for, it is very much an underdog story because it was a public school versus a fucking private school, and they have every privilege to succeed, and they didn't. And everybody was coming after us and saying this team took advantage of all the loopholes and all that shit. So the fuck what? Everybody else was doing the same goddamn thing. Now you're pointing the finger and saying that because this specific group of people, I don't know, man. It's the problem of the privilege, I suppose, is that they're so disconnected from reality that I don't know what else to add.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's to me, it's they have become a ruling royalty class, and you've got these people that get into Congress and they do it for a career. Well, once you get in and you do it okay, and the ruling elite like you, then guess what? You're going to keep getting the funding from the party because you toe the line and you do what you're supposed to do. Oh, that's basically like you're being given like a dukeship or whatever somewhere. And our fucking royalty system, yeah, they just give us the illusion of choice, and we change kings every 4 to 8 years, basically. And most of the kings are all of the kings are of the elite ruling rich class. There hasn't been a single fucking president in the last, I don't know, let's just say 50 years that has, when they were elected president, has come from essentially
Nothing.
being poor or being a lower class individual. They've all been people who are rich to begin with. And that's what happens. The rich pick the king. And it's like the parliament fucking thing, you know, the parliament, whoever's the ruling party basically just picks who's like the head of the parliamentary system or the prime minister. Yeah. That's kind of basically what our system is. It's the illusion of choice, and the ruling class gets to make even more money. They make $174,000 a year. There's a fucking Twitter account called Nancy Pelosi Stock Tracker, and they literally copy all of her trades, and they're up like $200,000 this year.
Probably based on insider information.
Of course.
To say that whenever the ticks went up for specific stocks, that she probably bought just before or days before, so it didn't look like it was, you know, it was a it doesn't, it's covered up, I guess you could say. And then 3 days later, bam, fucking Nvidia goes up whatever amount of money that it's currently worth.
Yeah.
And she just made a grip of fucking money.
Right. And they take advantage of their positions to make even more money. And you have the audacity to come to us and ask for a raise. You guys have essentially voted us into nothingness. You've voted our money into worthlessness. And now you want more of it because it's not enough? What about all this fucking money you've been sending to the Ukraine and to Israel and to Taiwan and all this bullshit? And yes, I understand the argument of, well, we need to keep our allies defended so that they can stop communism or whatever the fuck you want to say, right? I understand that argument, but you can't give billions of dollars away for stupid fucking reasons and then tell me you're not making enough. If you would have conserved some of that money, sure. If you need to not raise taxes to give yourself a fucking pay raise, good on you. Sure, you can have the pay raise, but don't be asking for more tax money come tax time because we need to pay your fucking salaries.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised they're not in the streets of Washington D.C. with fucking bindles, hobo sacks.
Yeah, I would just be rioting in the streets right now if I lived in Washington D.C. when I saw that, because they tried to do this at the beginning of the year, and then I think it something happened, and I don't know if it failed or I couldn't really find much information about it, but it didn't really go through in March. I think there was probably a lot of backlash that they were hearing about, so they ended up not doing it. But now again in the summer, there's talk of it coming back for the fall, that they want to try and get this passed before the end of the year, because there's a law in place where Congress, because this is like the 119th or something Congress, I think is what it's called, because it's like they do it in spurts or something, and I don't know if it's yearly or since they started doing that.
It's not based on terms. To one cycle, one midterm cycle.
I think it's like a midterm cycle, yeah. So they want this done by the end of the year, because that's like 2025 is going to start a new cycle or something. And so there's a law in place that whatever cycle we're in, if they vote for an increase in pay, it doesn't go into effect until the next cycle starts. So they want to do it now on the tail end, so then it'll kick in right away when the cycle starts over.
Yeah, I got you.
And which is shady and fucking bullshit, and it's sketchy as shit. So I was just looking around more, and so to see now in 2024, how much do you have to make to feel comfortable per state, right? And I didn't go through all of them, but I found the 5 least expensive states to live in, right? The lowest or the least expensive state to live in was Mississippi, okay? And a family of 4 to live what they would call comfortably, which you would imagine to be like a middle class lifestyle, right? You need to make $177,000 a year
Oh,
to
shit.
live in Mississippi to feel comfortable.
Goddamn.
We live in California, the most expensive state to live in. I can only imagine what the number is for us. Because it just this blurb only talked about the lowest states. And probably because they didn't want to start a riot, because if you saw, we'd probably need double that to live comfortably in fucking California, right? And again, it's nothing that's going to change until we all get together and decide it needs to change and say, hey guys, we ain't eating no fucking cake today. Shame. Ultra Guillotine 2024. That's really what this was. This was a 20-minute Ultra Guillotine commercial.
Prime candidate for U.S. president.
For all offices throughout the land, local, state, county, federal, presidential, all of them. Ultra Guillotine will handle it all.
An inanimate object for president.
Yeah, I think it would do a very good job.
Yeah.
And I know that's who I will be voting for this upcoming election. And then promptly be arrested by the FBI. So, and then beaten to death because of it. So I just thought that was fucking completely ridiculous. And I wanted to just bring it up to say that the ruling class is now out of touch with us. And they need to figure some shit out, or else they're going to have some problems very soon. And again, with all the Trump nonsense and going to getting convicted and all everything, this whole fucking literal clown world is as it's become, this circus show that our political system is. Now that's factoring into all this.
Yeah, man. I mean, talking about a justice system. I'm not specifically talking about Trump,
right?
But the privileges of a rich person being able to buy your way out of a situation, or even having social status enough so that you're able to get out of things because of who you are, as opposed to the law applies to all people equally.
Right. And see, what's going to be very interesting about this, to just go on a little side tangent about it, is they put Trump, not that I support him or anything, but they put him through the ringer, right? And I was like, cool, now they've shown that, okay, I can appreciate that the justice system now has a rich person tier where you can get fucked just like any of the rest of us, right? As you should be subject to getting fucked like any of the rest of us. However, now that Hunter Biden's trial is currently going on right now
with the gun
thing, and what's funny is I didn't see any evidence that like proved Trump was absolutely guilty of like not disclosing something with money or some bullshit. I don't know if I saw anything. I've seen the pictures of Hunter Biden with the gun. All right. I've seen the evidence. So if they don't convict this dude of this gun charge, the system is for sure back to being rigged again. And you can clearly see that the system made an exception for the rich guy they wanted to fuck. And the system is just designed to fuck everybody who they don't like. Essentially, is what it would seem like. Because I'd be curious to see how this turns out with the Hunter Biden thing. Because if he doesn't get convicted, then it's like, or if he gets convicted and the judge says, you know what, I'm just going to give you probation for like a year. Okay, well, he should probably face a lot worse penalty than that for being a technically convicted felon in possession of a firearm. That's a felony, so he's already been convicted of a felony, so he should be going to jail for this, right? That's what he should be doing. So we'll see if the justice system is still two-tiered or not, right? And because Biden already came out and said that he would accept the sentence and he wasn't going to pardon Hunter, he already knows that he's not going to be guilty. That's the reason. Like, of course he's not. Of course he's not going to fucking pardon him until he fucking loses the election, maybe.
I don't know what's going to happen. I mean,
I don't know. But
I don't know what's going to happen at this point. I could personally say I don't really give a shit about either fucking person.
True.
I don't care about Donald Trump, and I don't care about Hunter Biden. I care about Game Rage Magazine. That's
true. That's what I care about. That is really what I care about. But I thought it would be interesting to just bring up for a little tad second there. So now you had a topic
I did
that you wanted to explore. So let's hear about that.
What's the time stamp?
We're at 26 minutes.
All right. I don't know how this one's going to shape out because I just thought of it. Fuck. I think maybe the day before or maybe maybe 40 minutes ago or whatever I messaged you.
Yeah, it was probably like 40 minutes ago.
Man, well,
maybe an hour now at this point.
I think the way I phrased it is that we live in a post-truth, post-objective, post-consensus reality that none of us can agree on one fucking thing, that everybody lives in a prism of reality and nothing really matters anymore. That there are enough echo chambers of people that think one way or the other, whether it's the President Biden camp or the, both candidates that are running for president in 2024.
Yeah.
The Ukraine issue, whether we should be a part of it or not, the Palestine or fucking Israel situation. Everybody has an opinion on where they stand on the subject. And I don't know if it's all based in facts. And even if it were, it doesn't really fucking matter, because their opinion, they're so hard-headed or so galvanized about what they have in their mind that it's like, we live in probably the most technologically advanced era, and the era that has the most information available. And yet we are so stupid at this current time that we can't even decipher what the truth is or isn't. And we're basing it strictly on, I guess, I don't know if it's intuition or just personal, anecdotal, or, but who's to say that isn't right either? Because your experience of life is truth, even if it is biased, because
it's your truth, I guess.
It's your truth. Like, you can't. So I just think at this point, none of us can agree on anything, and the truth doesn't really matter. And I think that applies also to social media, that people are able to Photoshop their own images and sell them as themselves, like their true selves, or artificial intelligence, to have some AI voice be under the guise of someone else.
Right.
This is one of the most terrifying times to be. I'm not saying that to be an alarmist, but I genuinely mean that time, or these current times are scary in some ways, especially when the truth is not the thing that ultimately matters. So I don't know what to call this. I call it post-truth or post-consensus, post-objective reality, because shit, man, none of us can agree on the flat Earth, flat Earth shit. Whether we went on the moon.
There's.
So what do you got to say about that? I know it was kind of broad, but I guess that's kind of how I meant it, because you could literally take this in any direction that you would want.
Yeah. I'm trying to find it so I could quote it exactly. I feel like it was something Palpatine said in episode 3 of Star Wars, like The Revenge of the Sith.
Okay.
And it was when he was like having that jerk off session with himself about like, yeah, look at it, Anakin, when they were watching that fucking show or whatever. And he says something to the equivalent of like, the only difference between good and evil is perspective, essentially, is what he's saying. And two issues that are both polarizing, right? What's good and what's bad. And the only difference in people's opinion is their perspective, because as he says, some would say the Jedi are evil, right? And it's very true. They come, they take your children when they're young, they take them from you. You don't have a choice just because they're force sensitive, and you'll never know your child, and your child will never know you. Some people see that as an act of evil, where other people see that as an act of good. So on all of these issues, especially nowadays, it's just a matter of perspective. And what's funny about it is probably everyone's wrong. Like, no one's probably right about these issues.
But also everybody's
also right.
Conjunctively right. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Everyone's both wrong and right at the same time. We're in like a, what is that? God damn it. Why can't I think of the word for that?
A dichotomy, or
kind of a dichotomy, but it's like not a conundrum, but it's like when something spectral? Opposite, like
a juxtaposition, or
I don't know what the word is, but we're living in like it's like where you're both wrong and right. It's like you're in the Schrodinger's box, the cat. The cat, right? It's like
the observer
it's like the cat's inside right now, both dead and alive. And the only reason when you lift it up, that's what shows it changes the outcome. So it's like you're both of those things right now. Everyone's both right, everyone's both wrong, and no one knows anything. And what's ironic is, as you said, this is the current time that we live in, has the most access to and availability of plain factual information in the history of mankind. The Library of Alexandria never had this. Any of these big repositories of information in the past have never had anywhere near the amount of information as what the internet has on it today. And not only is that information there in one place that it exists, but you can literally pull out a device from your pocket and you can go and look at any fucking fact you could ever possibly need to know. And you can look at it on here. And so the irony is we have all this access to information, but yet nobody uses it. Everybody just goes off of, it's like it's made us lazy. It's made us stupider, I think.
I would say that is also the problem that possibly could exist with AI, is that we will always settle for what is going to be presented to us as we query or prompt it to give us an answer for one specific thing. And then whatever the source is, well, you have to question what the source is, because then it could frame your mind based on what that specific thing could be. And that could shape your literal reality. I don't know.
You know what's a perfect example of what's going to happen when AI gets to the full blown like real point of it being like, oh yeah, we can just ask it shit and it knows. A good example of that is social media. And if you want to know an issue about, let's say, Palestine, okay, Google Israel Palestine on TikTok, and then you watch a video, you're basically doing the AI equivalent of that. But instead of having a computer program doing it, some asshole's fucking talking to you about it. And they're telling you, based on their biases, based on their opinions, they're telling you whatever it is that their truth is. But like you said, to you, that truth might not be resonating because I don't know that this is real or this is happening. I'm not there. I haven't witnessed this. Now, that's the logical, reptilian brained, like thought process on that. But most people don't have that. They have the emotional mammalian brain reaction. Oh, they showed a fucking video of dead kids. Man, fuck those guys. That's bullshit. Not knowing where the video actually came from, or that the video was from an earthquake in fucking Indonesia from 30 years ago, or not 30 years ago, but like fucking 10 years ago, which those videos have come out and been proven to be false videos. And yet, okay, so now what can you believe?
Yeah, I mean, what were you talking about? Some Oakland athletics game that happened 15 years ago about Mother's Day.
Yes, the fucking ESPN trolled me.
Yeah, and it was passed off as if it was. I don't know if it was directly passed off as if it were currently happening, but because it was coincidentally Mother's Day, they posted it, and it seemed as though it was happening in current times.
Because they said Oakland A's, whatever the guy was, throws no hitter on Mother's Day, and Mother's Day was literally like the day before, and I was like, oh shit. And then it like showed him with his mom, and they were like, and I'm like, damn, that's cool, ESPN. You guys got to cover this. That's pretty sweet. So I was like, I just wanted to see. I'm like, damn, let me see this this box score real quick. So I looked at it. I'm like, wait a minute. Who did it say they played? It said they played out on somebody. And then I'm like, that's not who that says they played yesterday. And I was like, wait a minute. So I Googled the guy's name and no hitter or perfect game. It was a perfect game. And I Googled it and I was like, this fucking happened in like 2010, you son of a bitch. And they said nothing about that. There was nothing in the post, nothing in there. And that's the thing, that if you aren't willing to do the investigation, if you're lazy, you're just going to believe that. And then you're going to go around and tell people, oh man, did you see so-and-so threw a perfect game on Mother's Day and he celebrated with his mom? Cool. Those assholes aren't going to go look it up. So then they're going to believe it. They're going to spread it around. And this is how you get fake news.
Yeah.
I think we just cracked the code on how you get fake news.
Yeah. And then specifically about, I mean, I don't want to go on this for too long, but I just want to give a perspective that if somebody were to give their opinion, whether they compiled a bunch of videos and this person has their own social media account and they post this compiled video and then give their own take, that's not really firsthand information. It's more, I think, third or
second. Oh, you mean like a reaction video?
Reaction video, or even them trying to pass themselves as informative.
Oh, okay.
That I don't even know if you can call that the truth, because even the curation of that is influencing the outcome and the frame of mind for what they're trying to present, right? And I think skepticism is easily like the best way to exist in the world. That you can't just we can't just easily fall into the camp and say Palestine is the victim here. And I'm not saying that they aren't, because I mean it's quite evident that there's 2 million people that are going to be starving with all the shit going on. But I don't know. It's just very difficult to even fathom both these fucking. Well, I mean, I guess Palestine's not officially recognized as a country, but what is it called? Like a principality or
okay. Some people recognize it as a country, and some countries don't.
Okay.
So that
even that is disputed.
It's perspective.
Yeah.
And hell, the countries that are saying it's a country are the ones that are against the countries that are saying it
Israel
is a country, right?
Or
the ones that are saying it is a country are against the ones that are saying it isn't.
Yeah, right.
They're directly in conflict somehow with them, or they don't like them. They're not friends.
Yeah.
And so they're likely just taking that position to agitate the other ones.
Yeah.
So whether they believe it's not a state or whether it is, it's irrelevant, because you don't really know what they actually believe, because they're doing it just to agitate each other.
Yeah. And only thing I was really getting at was that it's very problematic when people take things at surface level without verifying all information possible, to look at both fucking or multiple perspectives, and also being fucking goaded into one camp or the other, because even that is a problem, that we have a binary choice between whether you're pro-Israel or you're pro-Palestine. Fuck, man, I really don't think a lot of people give a shit. And why are we going to penalize them for that when all they're trying to do is fucking survive or just exist, man? Because I think that's the case for a lot of people, is that they don't even have time to get informed about these subjects because, fuck, I got to work 9 to 5 and got to put food on my fucking table. I got to feed my family.
I got to work 9 to 5. I got to go home and sleep for 3 hours. And then I got to go work 8 to fucking 1 a.m. to go home and sleep 3 hours, to go work from 4 to 7 a.m. And then I'm going to go back and work it all over again from 9 to 5, and then back and forth. Cause we don't have time to sit here and fucking, and here's the other thing too, because we're so caught up in trying to figure out how we're going to eat and fucking how we're going to pay our bills and shit and work. When I'm sitting there, if I'm fucking on social media, I'm not looking to be informed. I'm looking for a distraction.
Yeah, escape from reality.
I don't even want to, and I'm sure most people feel that. They don't want to fucking see dead kids in fucking Palestine or Israel, or dead kids in Ukraine or Russia. Man, we get it. War sucks. War is terrible. And you know what happens in war? Kids die on both sides. That shit sucks. Shouldn't even have war. But guess what? There's nothing I can do about it. So when I'm scrolling on TikTok, I just want to see fucking some funny video that distracts me from my horrible existence that I'm currently living. Yeah. And sure, it may not be as bad as getting your house blown up by a fucking F-35, or it may not be as bad as getting going to the store and having a suicide bomber fucking blow up the market, right? My life may not be as bad as that, but when I'm not here and it's not affecting me, I don't think it's wrong for people to say they don't care.
Yeah, I think obviously when it comes to more of a proximity thing, if the subject of, say, I know this is probably a bit of a tangent, but say there's a rape victim, right?
Yeah.
And it happens here locally. Well, you're more inclined to believe that the person that has experienced this thing, that it probably legitimately happened, right?
Yeah.
Fuck. But it's hard to make the compare. I'm trying to make an apt comparison, but what I was trying to get at was that if you showed up at a crime scene, or if you show up at something and there's blood somebody's on the floor and there's blood on the ground, and everybody's pointing at this person, but you can't just assume that person is fucking guilty. It's guilty or innocent until proven guilty. And that's the scenario that I see for, I think, this Israel and Palestine thing, is that there's both parties that are involved. They both have blood on their hands.
Yeah.
And everybody's pointing the finger, and we're just showing up and we're trying to find out what the situation is, and everybody's picking a camp.
Yeah.
And jumping to conclusions. And it's easier for us to evaluate problems here and come to a resolution because it's right in front of our face. But to go over there to somebody else's house and try to figure out what the fuck is happening and have a personal investment, it's a lot harder, I suppose.
Yeah, and it's kind of, again, because we have this access to information, right? We're kind of like, we're hyper informed, but also the least informed at the same time. It's like, it's weird. And I am one of the people that considers myself more on the hyper informed side, because like, if there's a topic that I want to dive into, I'm going to go, and even outside of doing the podcast now, it's even worse, because obviously if I want to talk about it and sound like I fucking not know what I'm talking about, but I don't want to sound like an idiot. So yeah, I'm going to look some of this stuff up and I'm going to do some research and find the information, right? But even before this, we were doing this. Yeah, if I saw an issue, well, wait a minute. Maybe I should look into this, and before I make a decision on this, maybe I should go and, do some Googling or do some Wikipedia-ing or look at some historical facts and see what the case of this is. And, there's an episode of the Central Unintelligence podcast. If people really want to listen to the history of the Israel-Palestine thing, and we did a whole episode on it fucking back in whatever, it's like last year sometime, I think, when this first popped off.
It must have been around
it was like October, November, I think, is when we did the episode. And you can go back and look, and it's I don't remember what it's. I don't even know if we were naming them back then. I think we're just giving it numbers, but you can read in the description. It'll tell you that we talked about the history of the Middle East, basically, and how this Israel-Palestine thing came about, because I literally had to go look in Wikipedia. I had to go look in fucking like encyclopedias. I had to go fucking look in all kinds of different information to corroborate and confirm the information, because again, yes, Wikipedia is a great resource, but anybody can fucking write in that shit, and stuff can get put in there and missed from the moderation people or whatever, because there's a trillion fucking articles in there or whatever. So I also take Wikipedia not at face value, and I just say, okay, cool. Well, that's one source of information. Now let me go to another source of information. Okay, this corroborates that, and then this other one confirms it. Okay, cool. This is likely a fact, what I am reading. So to take the time to do that, to be informed, to be able to talk about the subject and say, hey, this is the history of it. Now, I don't want to give my perspective on what I think it is, because that's for you, the listener, to decide. It's for you to listen to, at least the way we did that episode. It's for the listener to decide what their perspective on the issue is. I will present the facts as I've found them and as I see them, but it's up to you to decide your perspective as to whether you are on the good side, whether you're on whatever side you're going to say is good and whatever side you're going to say is evil, right? Or good, bad, whatever it is. And that's up for you to decide, because ultimately your decision of whether something's good or evil is just solely based on your perspective of that situation and that individual, instance. And listen, this is going to sound fucked up, but at the end of the day, when there's these videos of these Palestinian kids getting killed, I'm sure there's some pro-Israeli people going, good, that's one less terrorist we got to worry about coming to kill us later down the line. Just as when Hamas shoots rockets into Israel and they kill Israeli kids, they go, good, that's one less oppressor to come fucking kill us.
Yeah, and they're both right.
And they're both right.
And they're both wrong.
Yep, correct. They're both right and they're both wrong at the same time.
And, people can choose to participate in that, or they choose not to.
Yeah, exactly. And this is why I advocate for anarchy, because if there was anarchy, there'd be no war. There'd just be individual conflicts between people, and then no one would get anybody together to fucking have these massive fucking war crimes and all this crazy shit. We wouldn't be having this conversation right now. So I find it. This is the wildest fucking time humanity has had, at least in the last 200 years.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh shit! Did you have more to add?
I was just gonna go on a tangent, but go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, all right. This is the craziest, wildest time that exists right now. And it's also one of the strangest times, because I think that throughout history, when we've had all of these empires fall and we've had these major upheavals in the world order and things like that. Yeah, they lived through it. It was probably a little bit crazy. I feel like this time it's worse. I feel like this is the craziest one. This is the craziest thing where like, because I feel like we're also on the brink of like global destruction, right? I feel like that's the other party at play here that hasn't really been an option in the past. In the previous falls of empires or whatever you want to call it, that whole world destruction aspect hasn't really been a thing. So I think that's something that is an X factor, if you will, in regard to the current situation that we're in. And to everybody that's listening, I just say, before you jump to conclusions, right? And I told Katie this the other day about something, because I was like, oh, I didn't know you were a professional, jump. What did I call her? A jump enthusiast or something? And then she was like, what do you mean? And I was like, well, you jumped to that conclusion real quick, like, because she saw one thing, and then I'm like, oh, that's jumping to a conclusion right there. But before you jump to those conclusions, sit down. Don't use your emotional mammalian brain. Put that logical, cold-blooded reptile brain into effect, and just kind of look up shit and just kind of make an objective decision.
Yeah, I have a perfect example. So on the music podcast, I mentioned that I found this fucking article, or what I thought appeared to be an article, and that is kind of the problem, I think, with different platforms, is that, or especially specifically Reddit, is that the headline is enough for people to come to a conclusion about whatever the specific subject is. And I know this one's trivial, but I basically said on Instagram that this artist was going to be releasing music, and it was going to be in a collaboration with this person. And then what I thought was in fact true was just a rumor, and it wasn't publicized anywhere. I'm like, fuck, I just said something that wasn't true technically.
Yeah.
And then what I ended up doing was polling from different sources why I think this was a possibility, a legitimate possibility. And then in fact, it did end up becoming true. But that was a mistake that I fucking made that I shouldn't have done, that was very foolish of me. But the other thing I was going to say is that, man, I think one problem of whatever I'm calling this post-reality thing is that I think people get so entrenched with whatever their perspective is that they can't even entertain the opposite side, and it only further ingrains them. It makes them dig their heels about it. If they get proven wrong, they further fucking dig their heels. And dude, it's okay to fucking admit you're wrong. And even for this shit, I mean, I don't even know if we're trying to prove that we're right or wrong about anything. I think it's just more fun or entertaining to just talk about things and see where it goes, and not prove who the fuck is right or who the fuck is wrong. And I don't know. I think it's somewhat problematic that when you come out of a debate, that it just further entrenches the person in whatever thing they believe, instead of coming out with, you know what, I may not agree with you, but I could see what you mean about your perspective. Or, you know what, maybe I'm fucking wrong, because you did bring up a pretty good amount of points. And then you come back and, go at it next week, and shit, man, maybe you might come out with a different perspective. That's how you fucking learn, is that you have different experiences, you entertain different knowledge, and you even contend what you believe. And I think if there's any group of people that could be objectively believed to believing in an objective reality, I would say it'd be scientists, man. Like, because they're trying to prove shit objectively.
Well, what's funny is you talk about that, like Neil deGrasse Tyson, right? Like he's a famous scientist, and he's fucking a genius and whatnot, and he is adamantly against like the flat earth people, right? And okay, I don't necessarily know that it really has been proven that this shit's fucking circular. Maybe it isn't. I don't know. I mean, we're looking at it from a perspective, right? And I'm not saying I'm a flat earth guy, but I'm just saying to vehemently dig your heels in, because then what if it comes out or some new evidence is presented and shows that, oh shit, we do live on a flat plane? What if that's the case, right? I think the people that were so staunch anti that are going to be like, no, that's bullshit. That's made up. Same thing with like the moon landings. People are so vehemently, oh, we never went to the moon. And well, any evidence that gets presented to prove otherwise, they're like, oh no, that's fake. That was made in a movie studio. That was this. There's all kinds of these. Nobody wants to just admit, okay, yeah, this is a video, true. I'm not going to take it at face value. I'm just going to say it's fake, and I'm just going to say it's not real, or it's fabricated evidence. So again, most access to information ever, but yet the least informed people on the planet. Because I've even talked to people about that have asked me about some of these issues because they just say, oh, hey, Josh, you seem to know some things. What do you think about whatever, this issue? And then, I go on and say my spiel about, well, this is what I've learned or looked into, and this is the conclusion that I came to, but, here's the facts of how I got there. Determine your own thing. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, that sounds about right. And then that's it. So again, you just
they just take you whatever you say.
You just gonna take my word for it. So now I'm starting about thinking about just making shit up when people ask me that.
I think I'm gonna do that too, actually.
And then just try to like spread the falsities on purpose, and then just see what comes back to me. Maybe it'll come full circle around, and somebody will be like, oh hey, like if I say something about like, oh, they say like, hey Josh, so what do you think about if the sky's blue or not? And I'll be like, well, actually the sky's really green, but the way your eyes are tinted and colored is it actually changes the color based on whatever, right? It just say some bullshit, and then see it'll come back around to somebody else. Go, hey Josh, did you hear this new theory about how the sky's actually green? And yep, I invented that. Fuck yeah, there it is.
Shit, man, I might do that with animal facts. I'll make up some fucking frog that exists in Mozambique or some shit, and I'll make up some arbitrary facts and then tell somebody and then see whether it comes back to me or not.
And then
people pass it back.
One day you Google it and it shows up as its own Wikipedia page, and there's all these scientists dedicating to finding them or some shit because they're like, listen, we know this exists and we're going to find it. We haven't found him yet, but we know it's real. This must have it's a real endangered species or some shit.
Yeah.
That's what we should start doing. We should start doing that.
Spreading more lies.
I mean, at this point, you might as well. And then, if we get associated with that, then it'll just create more controversy, and then more people want to listen to the stupid shit we say. So
actually, maybe it'll have the opposite effect. Maybe people will hate us so much that they'll look into things for themselves and then end up becoming informed because of our stupidity.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually that's a very valid point. And shit, maybe that's worth exploring. But anyways.
There, what else?
I didn't have anything else. That was all I had. We're at like 53 and a half minutes. So, I mean, what else can we talk about that's either controversial or political related in terms of that we could just run on for 7 minutes to just hit an hour?
I don't know. You got anything?
I fucking, like I said, all I had was that. I was planning on stretching that into an hour, but I thought your topic was going to go for the rest of the time, but we came up like 5 minutes short from what I thought we were going to get on yours, but I don't know if I can go back and retread that topic already. But
all right, well, what do you got you got anything planned for next week?
I have no episode. This week I saw that and I planned this episode and that was it. That's kind of maybe we'll talk a little inside baseball about how I plan these fucking episodes.
All right.
So when I plan these episodes, right, when I did the first, I don't know, whatever, 5 or 6 or whatever we dropped, I said, all right, this is what we're going to talk about for this one. I kind of plotted it out. Now that we've released whatever 6, and I think this is number 7, but whatever, I just kind of take it week by week and I say, all right, I know I probably want to do at least 2 of these a month. And then what's kind of great, because this is such a broad spanning topic of politics / controversial things, I can kind of just do it as it comes along because shit's always happening. Like, honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, I wrote this down and totally forgot I did. The stock kitty guy or whatever is, what the fuck's his name? He's like the
Roaring Kitty?
Yeah.
D fucking value?
Yeah. The GameStop shit.
Oh shit, man. Yeah. Shout outs to fucking them for fucking holding since, I think it was 2020 when that whole shit started.
Yeah.
That stock has gone up significantly.
Just in the last few days, it's like pumping again.
Yeah.
And then it's doing something and people like, because everybody shorted it. and now it's getting pumped again. And there's like billions of dollars being lost right now because of this stupid fucking GameStop stock.
Are you talking about like corporate dollars being lost? Because
Investment dollars, like it's stock market dollars. People that have invested in GameStop and like did short buy positions where they were like, okay,
yeah, short, yeah, they short.
we're going to short this stock because we think in the short term it's going to make money, but in the long term it's going to lose, basically. So like they're going to short it and say, or short sell it, and just be like, they're just trying to flip it real quick. And so as soon as you buy it, well, that's the problem with short selling is you got to buy in volume to make any money. So like if you buy $1 million of GameStop stock right now, and then it fucking dumps, then you have, but your options are only 30 days basically. So that basically means you have to get rid of it in 30 days. So all the people that short sold it, they thought it was going to fucking go up, and it went down. And then now after everybody had to force to sell their short positions when it was low, now it's pumped back up again.
Yeah. I mean,
so it's like,
so now it's, those people don't have an entry point because now the price is inflated.
no, well and they lost all the money that they initially invested into the whole thing plus more.
Yeah.
So
fuck yeah, man. Ape strong.
Yeah. It's that's funny as hell, man. Like
ape, no kill ape, dude. They abide by that Planet of the Apes shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a smart way of doing things. I really think that's a good
They
strategy.
memed their way into fucking being. Hey, I honestly hope it worked out for all those people that held for 4 years, because all it took was Roaring Kitty to come back and make a tweet and then post a picture of he bought X amount of GME shares. So just by nature of him showing up and buying, showing his position and then also tweeting about it, he probably made himself even fucking richer.
He did, yeah. I think he made himself an extra. I think he made. It was only. I think he was scheduled to make like $175 million on it, and then now it's like, since he tweeted that, he's gonna make like 250 or some shit, or I don't know.
See,
I don't know what the numbers are
post truth reality, dude. GME, GameStop is a company that shouldn't exist, but people can't fucking accept it because it's the people versus corporations and the government who refuse to step in and do something about it, like the SEC.
Oh, well, they've stopped the trading of it.
Yeah, I mean,
multiple
Fidelity.
times.
I'm sure Fidelity and like Acorns and all those.
Yeah,
fucking
what is it? New York Stock Exchange this week. Multiple times they halted trading on GameStop, AMC, because that's another one of those meme
the meme stocks. Yeah,
they like kept halting trading on it because it was fucking dropping or doing whatever so much.
So then other people can short it and then they can get their money.
Right. So it's like they halt trading. So it's like, okay, guys, we're gonna halt this so that way you can not get fucked in the ass so hard.
That's exactly why I think an argument could be made about crypto itself is that so that there can be an exchange open 24 hours that can't be manipulated, that's not owned by anybody, like the New York Stock Exchange, dude. That shit needs to be done away with. We just need to have an open books.
You know what? That's going to be the topic for the next episode, because I think BlackRock and a couple other companies are trying to start a new stock exchange in Texas. And it's going to be like the NYC or the NASDAQ, because they want the deregulation, because New York is heavily regulated and Texas doesn't regulate shit.
Okay.
So they think, my theory is that their plan is to bring it to Texas, open up a new stock market in Texas and get things going. And if there's no regulation, then they can literally do whatever they want and no one's going to tell them no. So there's a lot of money to be made when you are basically having a bunch of people just do legalized gambling, because that's what stock trading is. It's just legalized gambling for the most part. And if you've got all this legalized gambling going on, well, shit, and you're controlling it, but you're also companies that are listed on there. See, that's where.
Yeah, that's kind of fucky, but it also.
But
I don't know if it makes it fair, because it's just there are no rules.
So then, yeah, it's that's the most fair it can be. And that's why I'm saying I advocate for anarchy, because when there's no rules, the problem with the stocks exchange, though, there will be rules, because it's the rules that they make that they're going to benefit to themselves. So it's not actually going to be no rules. They're going to have no regulation on what they can say you can and can't do. So they will make rules for the stock exchange that benefit them.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's how it'll play out. It'll end up being the exact same situation and it'll only benefit a certain amount of people.
Yeah, 100%. So, anyways, you know what? That's going to be the next episode of No Party Preferences. We're going to get into money. We're going to do stock market talk.
All right, you can
and
do
we're
that.
going to do
Yeah.
we're talking about this new thing, and then I'm just going to do some research on the history of the stock exchanges and how these things even got started, because I'm kind of curious how the fuck these things even came into existence.
All
Because
right.
again, rich people trying to get richer, basically. So, anyways, you can't defeat your enemy unless you know your enemy.
Yeah,
all right?
that's true.
So,
Was that some
Sun Tzu
yeah.
shit. Yeah, right there. That's some Art of War shit right there. Anyways, all right, cool. We made it to the hour. So fuck yeah. And it wasn't like we were just sitting there jerking each other
With their
off.
dicks,
Like,
with
yeah.
their dicks in our hands.
I mean, there may be an episode where it's like, oh man, if we need 2 minutes, we might sit here in silence for 2 minutes and just
With our
let
dicks
it
in our
run.
hands. Like, literally our dicks in
literally
it.
dicks in our hands, staring at each other, looking down. Hey man, nice piece.
Copulating each other.
Anyways, all right. Well, if you like all our shit, you can follow. You can go to GameRageMagazine.com to hear all of our multitude of other podcasts. You can go to Game Rage Magazine at Game Rage Magazine on Instagram and TikTok, at Game Rage Mag on Twitter/X. And if you want to hear all the latest in musical breaking news and new artists that you've probably never even heard of, you can go to All Gas No Trash Official on Instagram, and that's where Adam does his thing. So, anyways, well, thank you guys for hanging out with us and listening. And stay tuned for the next episode where we get to know our enemies so we can defeat them one day and fucking ruin all their lives.
Shout outs to the GME holders for fucking holding and getting that bag.